every day to the world and to your heart. Open up your eyes and let your spirit start. Say yes to the dreams you hold inside. Let your soul be your guide.
In today's complex mortgage world, finding the right direction can be challenging. That's where Lighthouse Advisors comes in. With over 25 years of experience, we provide fractional leadership and executive oversight, guiding companies through transitions, growth, and innovation. From IMBs to brokers to credit unions to tech firms, our team of seasoned professionals is here to shine a light on solutions, ensuring your business thrives in every environment. At Lighthouse Advisors, we don't just guide, we empower. Together, let's create a ripple of success across the industry. Email us today at laura@lighthouseadvisors.com.
Oh, thank you for joining us today for another episode of Wednesday Wisdom. Today, we are joined by the incredible Chelsea Balak. Now, before we jump into this, I can still remember the very first time I met Chelsea, and it was at NAM Focus in Florida, and we had an amazing dinner together, and I learned all about, Chelsea's professional and her personal. I remember her children were actually back. I think your mom was there, right, watching the kids, and instantly I knew in that moment that Chelsea and I would be connected. Now that was 3 years ago. How quick time goes. That was 3 years already. But the moral of that story is the connections that we make in life, regardless if it's personal or professional, are the things that we really need to hold on to, because it's meeting special people and keeping them in our lives that really makes life so special. And with that, we want to hear from this incredible woman here. And I want to kick it off with asking you, Chelsea, please share with us, what is one of the best pieces of advice or something that you have learned for someone? And how has that advice or teaching influenced the rest of your life?
Of course. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here with you. All the amazing things you've said, I totally echo that back to you. And I'm so thankful that you've continued to keep in touch with me. I think for me, I always look for little nuggets that I can really latch onto from other leaders or mentors to make sure that I can get myself to the next level or through whatever current challenge is in front of me. And I think it's really evolved over time as I have evolved, as my life has evolved. But I think the past couple of years, for me, it's just really being confident in who you are. I think as a female leader, we're always like, do they like me? Am I doing the right thing? Am I saying the right thing? And I think there's so many things about us that are unique that if we let people mold us in the way that they feel like we should be, we lose that sparkle about ourselves. And so I always say, I'm from New Jersey and I'm going to talk fast. That's just how it is. If you need me to slow down, please put a hand up, say something. But that's just my passion coming out. And I don't want to lose that about myself. So I've become confident in the fact that I am going to talk fast. And sometimes it's a little faster than necessary, but I have to be confident in who I am and what I do, because that's going to help me make better decisions. It's going to help me lead a better team. It's going to help other people feel authentic too, and then be themselves. So I feel like being confident in myself is really the one right now that I'm honing in the most and have been probably for the past 3 years.
And I mean, such wise words. And as we go through life, when we're small children, we mimic, right? Like, you're a mom. I'm now watching my granddaughter go through this stage of be careful what you say, because it's going to be repeated, right? So when we're children, we mimic, and that's how we learn, right? And we're kind of going through our surroundings. We do that, right? And then we think we're going to be independent, right? We graduate school, we get out of college, we're going to get that first job. And we walk into the corporate world or whatever business we're in, and we're like, uh-oh, I have no idea what's going on. And we start to mimic again. We start to go, well, if that person is successful, they must be doing something right. So I'm going to mimic what I see that leader or that person or that salesperson or whoever it is, right? But then, Chelsea, what I'm bringing your awareness to is then we get to that next stage of our life that we're past that early stage of career. You're now in the middle stage of the career where you're like, well, I learned some good things and some things not to do. And now I'm going to apply my own authentic self to these things. And that's where it gets interesting. That's when all of a sudden that confidence starts to rise and you start to see yourself molding the future. And I can honestly tell you, just in the 3 years that I've watched you and seen you, I've watched that evolution and it will continue to go in that direction. And it's funny, I was just listening to a TED Talk over the weekend where a woman spoke about how uncomfortable we are when we're not our authentic self. That it's literally like painful almost to try to conform to something that isn't us. And so the message there, and thank you for sharing that, is that although regardless of what stage we're in, maybe we're still in the beginning stage where we have to mimic a little bit, always drip a little bit of that sparkle, like you said, onto that. Because eventually I can fast forward you to the stage I'm at. Oh, I'm 100% me now. Like now all of that other stuff is gone because I've gotten to that point of realizing great lessons, but now it's 100% me. And so that is where everyone is heading and going. All right, Chelsea, I want to speak about leadership. You're a leader. You're a strong leader. You have an amazing team. I want to hear about what are some of give me one or two or a couple of traits that you feel are the most valuable and most important in leadership.
So I think the first one is kind of what I call my umbrella effect. It's really understanding when to open up the umbrella and shield your team from things happening, and then when to lower it, let them feel the sun, but also sometimes let them feel a couple drops of the rain so that they're prepared for what the next level of their career looks like. So that's one of my lessons of trying to figure out how to balance that and really show them some of the future, give them the ability to see some of the uncomfortable situations, but also make sure that they get the light shine on them too. They get the just the information they need. They get that kind of preview into the next level of what it looks like so they can start making decisions for themselves on what path do I want to head down or what does it look like for me in the future. So that's one that I say is really valuable. I know that sometimes people say, you know what, I want to shield my people from everything. I don't want them to be aware of all the things, but I think there is so much value in giving them just a little opportunity to see some of those uncomfortable conversations, or whether it's a budget meeting that you're like, ooh, this one's going to be a little hairy. Let's take a look at it together and let's wade through it together, because I'm trying to make it to where my people outlast me. That's my mentality with my kids. That's what my mentality with my team is. If I'm not tomorrow, what are you guys going to do and how are you going to do it? So I think that's been really key. I think positivity is a huge one. I think it's very underrated in the industry. I think that sometimes people think you a little foo-foo or that you're a little bit crazy and out there, but I have to stay positive. We're doing a hard job every single day. My team is in the trenches every single day, operationally looking at files and escalations. And that if I don't stay positive, it just trickles down. If I'm negative, they'll continue to be negative. So I have to be the one that's out there saying, we're going to get through this. Yes, it's a little chaotic today, but tomorrow will be a little bit better. And next week will be even better. So we have to really make sure that we're being that positive light for our people, because they really are in the day in and day out. And it gets a little bit daunting.
It does. Number one, very profound umbrella effect. I've never heard that term. I learned something new. Thank you for sharing that. I love that. Yeah, that is really great. So I have to ask you though. So again, going through seasons of leadership, when you were first a leader, did you have the concept of I need to shield my team from the hard things?
I did. And I also watched leaders do it. And I saw it had the opposite effect of what they were trying to accomplish, where some people saw it as a lack of transparency. And I think you really have to know your team members, know what they can handle, and also what they're looking for in a leader. And you have to really be able to balance it. But I would have never been able to do that younger in my career.
Yeah.
I think that would have scared people too often, and you end up breaking people, and it's not good. So I think it takes some skill, it takes some years, but yes.
I agree. It definitely is a progression, right? Because as a new leader, regardless of how excellent you are, you just haven't figured out that healthy balance of knowing, right? And you mentioned the positivity, and I'm with you that positivity doesn't mean you have your head in the sand and you don't know the reality of the situation and the difficulties. We know our industry has challenges every single day, whatever those challenges are, some small, some large, we know. But looking at something in a positive light of bringing your team together and saying, we're going to get through this, we're going to improve, we're going to look at things with a positive view on it, that is not avoiding. That is not being aware of what is happening. And that's where people sometimes get confused. Positivity doesn't mean, oh, I avoid the hard stuff, or we don't ever address it, or we don't ever dive in and fix. Not at all. It is just saying that there are no limitations. Even if today is a challenge, we're going to work through it one step at a time. We're going to systematize it. We're going to learn from the mistake that maybe we made. Maybe we made a costly mistake. Well, we better make sure that never happens again, right? How do we learn from that, right? So it's so important that you said that, because sometimes people, and I found, hesitate to even discuss it because they think as if people will interpret it as, oh, well, I'm not a strong leader, I'm just putting a smile on something. Not at all. That is not the case at all. At the end of the day, if I was in a difficult, traumatic situation, do I want a leader that is going to say, I'm calm, I'm going to tell you this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it, and this is how the other side of this will be a positive result? Or do I want someone that's yelling at people and berating and telling everyone, oh my God, the sky is falling? No, you don't want to follow a leader that is constantly saying the sky is falling and this is, oh, I don't know how we're going to get through the winter, I don't know how we're going to get through this. That's not what people need. They need to know, we're aware, we understand, here's the plan, this is what I need you to do as part of that plan, and together we're going to get to the other side. So thank you for sharing that. I absolutely love that. And it is a discussion that more people need to bring to light. Absolutely. All right. This is my final question, and my one that I love the most. Okay. What I like to say is, let's say I have the magic wand that I can make any wishes come true. What I want to hear, Chelsea, is I want to hear that moonshot, that thing that if you could make that wish to happen, and it doesn't have to be professional. You can make it professional, but it could be personal, it could be professional. What would be something that you would go after knowing that it would happen?
So I think mine's a little bit out of the realm of mortgage. It's out of the realm, like you're saying, of professional. For me, I'm working really hard every single day to level the playing field for my children, to make sure that they have opportunities that I never had, and that they're in the rooms that they need to be in to make the connections, to do all the great things they're going to do in this world. And for me, I really want to make that possible for my community. I want my county in Florida to have a level playing field for all children, regardless of their socioeconomical status. So I don't know how I'm going to get there.
I'm going to ask you, what is your, I know you don't have the full plan, but let's take out the magic wand again. What would it look like? No, don't ask. We're not going to say how. Forget how. We don't care about the details. If I said, what does success look like? What does it look like at the end?
opening a foundation so that I
Okay.
can make sure this all happens, and really putting out there leadership classes for females, leadership classes for different backgrounds and adversity, really making sure that people have the backing and the support to make hard decisions that are going to take them out of the situation they're in. And it becomes so difficult. I've watched it happen. I'm a leader of a very diverse team, and I've watched them make decisions that have potentially taken them out of previous situations that their family has faced, and they get a guilt with it. They get this feeling that maybe they don't deserve it, or why them. And for me, I've seen it happen on my own team, and I know it's got to happen to a larger scale, but I don't think where you come from should matter. If you have the skills, if you have a smart brain, or you have a very high intellect, like, you should be able to have all the opportunities. And I'm starting with my own children, and then I'll figure out how I get more in the masses of it. But I think opening a foundation is the end shot. I mean, I think a large group of people work towards kind of erasing their W-2 income with passive income so that they could do things like this and get into the philanthropic fields. And I think that is my moonshot. I don't know that it will happen, but I hope that
No,
it will.
no, no, we're not saying that. It's happening. It's happening. We don't need to know the details. But Chelsea, you just reminded me of a story. So I interviewed a woman on a podcast, okay? A woman that I met in the insurance industry, right? And I'll never forget this story because it ties to exactly what you were saying. So her story, she grew up in the projects of Chicago, her and her family, Hispanic family. And brothers, sisters, all dealing drugs. Parents were drug addicts. Like, she just figured that was the direction she was going. She was 16 years old and she barely went to school. She showed up every once in a while, and she got into a fight with a student, and she went to juvenile hall. Well, when she was at juvenile hall, there was a counselor there, and the counselor would watch her, right? And they would do schoolwork, and everything came easy to her. Like, meaning she can answer the questions like this, right? So the counselor said, I want to give you a test, right? And she's like, whatever, give me the test. So it was an IQ test. And she took the IQ test, and she was a genius. And when that counselor said to her, her name is Monique, she said, Monique, did anyone ever tell you you're really smart? And she's like, well, school, I show up and it comes easy. It's just something that comes easy to me. Well, Chelsea, once that counselor realized that she was brilliant and then took her and put her into a school at a higher level and challenged her, everything in her life changed because she no longer saw herself as becoming a drug dealer. She no longer saw herself as that was her future, even though that was what she thought her future was. She then saw herself as someone that had a future. And she got a job filing documents at Wells Fargo Bank, okay, when she was 17. She did such an amazing job that Wells Fargo gave her a scholarship to college. She got her degree, wound up getting into the mortgage industry, then getting into insurance. She owns the whole future changed, all because someone took the time to say your future doesn't have to be what you thought it was going to be. And so the moral of that story is, Chelsea, go after that. Because even if there's one person like Monique that you changed, you made a difference in the world. And that could be your own children. Doesn't even have to always be a stranger.
I love that story. I feel like there are just so many elements to it that gave me goosebumps, that I'm like, just the one person touching somebody's life can make an incredible difference. And maybe she affected her parents' lives, and you just don't know the ripple effect of what all of those things
And
do.
now she goes and helps teenagers at risk. Like, now that's part of her mission of what she does, right? Because she knows how her life was impacted and she wants to pass it on. So you'll figure it out. And again, whatever way it looks like. So many times we don't go after the moonshot because we think everything has to be grandiose. It doesn't have to be. It could be that one person, or it could be our own children or family also. Chelsea, thank you so much for sharing your brilliance with all of us, and keep shining brightly. You are such a bright light in our industry, and we truly appreciate all that you do for us, and keep shining.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.